I said probably. Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't had dinner tonight, but
It's all right. We only do like an
yeah, I think it should be fine.
hour. Okay. Well, I'll hit my button. So try to
Ooh, we hit that button.
yeah, yeah. I
He
mean,
likes that button you hit.
I I mean, I can edit things. I'm not the world's best editor, but I can edit things. But you know, just think about those. But oh yeah, on the trucks and the just calling people directly out. I actually, and Trace hasn't heard this story yet, and I know this is supposed to be about you, so we'll do your introduction after this. So I want to take the kid over to his workplace yesterday, or yeah, it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I want to
I think
take
it
the
was the day
kid.
before.
I want to take. It was one of those days. It was definitely a day
A a day.
on the
Yes.
calendar. Yeah. One of those,
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It was one of those, and I'm sure there were some numbers involved. That's as most information I can give you. If you want more information, you're gonna have to get a warrant. Um. Oops. Anyways, so I turn around the corner, and my buddy's out there that I've known for years, and me and him have a hilarious. And I'll do this as a side story here. It's the B story. We have a hilarious sort of relationship over the years. Uh, he goes, "There's my neighbor out there, and there's him," and he goes, "Hey, speaking of them," and I go, "Oh shit." There's my mechanic friend, and I'm like, "Fuck, fuck, no." So, if you know anything about fucking anything, you know what that means and how that begins.
Hmm.
So, my neighbor goes, "Hey, and he goes, well, he starts asking me questions about this van he got. He goes, someone gave me this van. I go, you should give it right back. I've seen this van out there for a minute. I'm like, fuck, dude. Whoever that van belongs to is fucked. That thing's fucked. That whole fucking thing is fucked. Just looking at it, I could tell there was some fuckery. So I say that though. I come, right off the cuff, give it back to them. He goes, my dad gave it to me and he died. I'm like, fuck, I fucked up. Just oof, dude, oof, all the fucking way. So, so we got that going on. That was a fun thing, and I'm talking to him. I'm roasting about the fucking van. He's loving it, dude. So that shit's going on. I had to have my friend explain that I'm a bit of a, a douche. Had him explain that. I go, yeah, ask him when I worked at so-and-so. I'm not going to say where. In their auto area, I used to roast his car all the time, and I didn't even fucking know him. So that's the sort of off-the-cuff fucking nature I bring, man. I had something else for that story, but you know, uh, just that fucking someone asks you about their car and you come out the gate hot and heavy like that, and then they hit you with something like that. You're just like, the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, because 9 out of 10 times can you help me fix this? Can you help me work on?
Oh,
I want
dude,
to take a look at this.
yeah. Oh, dude, I had one neighbor who's like, "Would you do my brakes?" I was like, "Here's what I'll do for you. I will show you how to do your brakes. I will teach you how to do your brakes. You're a man who needs to learn to fish. I will teach you how to fish." He goes, "No, I'm gonna see if I can find like a crackhead to do it." I'm like, "Okay."
Get
Eventually, you're
what you
gonna
pay
need to.
for.
Well, you're gonna need. I wasn't gonna charge. I'm not gonna charge someone to teach them, but I'm willing to teach. He was super. He was super on the larger scale. Um, and just wasn't about it, dude. And it's like that's fine. But even if you pay that crackhead today, you're gonna need those breaks again in the future. That's my thing.
Hmm.
So legitimately, teach a man to fish and whatnot. So that's enough car talk, though.
Is
Who
it?
the? Yes. Who the fuck are you?
Well, I'm Kyle. Uh, I mean, what do you want to know about me? You know.
Well,
Everything.
yeah,
That's the whole point of this.
yeah. We're trying to build the perfect NSA government profile on you. What can you tell us?
Well, in
Or
that
what
case,
should you
yeah.
tell us is the
I
more
guess.
opportunity.
I mean, in that
Who
case,
are
nothing.
you and why should I give a damn?
Um. Well,
Are we
I
actually
mean,
doing this right now?
Yeah, right this second.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, damn. Okay, cool.
She
yeah. No
sounds so
time.
confused. She sounded so confused. She's like, what the fuck's that idiot doing now?
Oh, whatever. You know I would never think that.
So, I mean, I know a little bit about you. I've tried to get you to hold it back until I could get you on here because you know you have so many crazy stories. So
I think that's where
honestly,
we've gone wrong. Yeah, is not enough holding back.
no, and but these two don't know you, bro. So I mean, I would say
That's true.
start at the
What are you
beginning.
telling me? Are you telling me that I don't know my own bingo teammate? Excuse me?
Well, okay, Trace doesn't know, and Kyle has a lot of crazy stories that he might not have told you that Trace is
Dude,
gonna.
and honestly, I have so many that I forget about it until somebody, somebody will say one thing or like something will be on the TV and I'm like, "Hey, that reminds me of the time where I committed XYZ felony."
Okay, you know
And it's
what?
like,
I'll get you. I'll get you started. I'll get you started.
yep.
Kyle's he's in a very prestigious club. It's very limited. It's like the 27 club. Kyle's a white guy who's gotten his ass beat by the police.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that was an interesting one. Yeah, I
Is
mean, I
that
can
if
just
that is
finish
that
the
not where you
story.
want to start? I mean,
No, we can, yeah.
yeah.
No, we can, yeah. You want me to just start from the beginning?
In the beginning there was darkness, and then the ATF shone a light. No, wait. Can I get a shot at that one more time? In the beginning there was darkness, and then a military recruiter showed me the light. Now, go.
Well, I mean, right? I mean, yeah, I was in the military as well, prior to the police brutality story. Um, yeah,
I'm just putting it in order for you.
I mean, yeah, we can. So I did, yeah. So I was in the Marines for 5 years. I did CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear defense. I did a lot of cool stuff. I won't really go into it. But yeah, served in the Marines for 5 years. Was a sergeant, did my time, and got out. Uh, while I was in, I learned a lot about the government, and well, that's why I got out. um,
Very wise decision. It's
yeah.
everything after that that gets a little skanky.
Um, yeah. I mean, there was some pretty interesting stories while I was in that don't necessarily like have to do with what I did and while I was in, or you know what I mean. But yeah, so I get out. I get this job. I'm working. I go around the country setting up stores. And we're setting up a store in Indiana, in the middle of nowhere. Um, Carmel, Indiana. Oh, thank you. Level up. Um, and how do I go with this? So uh, we're working. It's a Saturday. Yep, it's a Saturday.
It's at least
The
a day.
um, it's a Saturday, and we're like in the country, like out in the sticks, right? In the country, and the owner of the store that we were actually moving it, he says, "Hey, we will not be working on Sunday. It's my religion. Like I don't care if I still have to pay you. I'll pay you. You can show up, but the doors will be locked. We don't work on Sunday here. At least not at my store." So okay, cool. Um, and my grandmother died that day. And instead of being able to like talk to her like at the hospital bed. I spoke to her on the phone. And so, it was a pretty rough day. And I was like, hey, by the end of the day, I was like, hey, we're not, we're not working tomorrow. Got a lot on the mind. I'm going to go grab me a couple of drinks. If I remember correctly, this was University of Michigan and Purdue's late night game, actually. Um, so I'm watching the game, and I have a couple beers, couple being like 3. And I'm like, Carmel, Indiana is the roundabout city of America because it is. And I was like, yeah, I've had a couple beers. Let me just do the responsible thing. I don't know the area. I'm just gonna grab me an Uber, head back to the hotel. I don't want to drive. Not drunk, but you know, rather play it safe. Company pays for the Uber anyway, right? So I look on Uber, no Ubers, because we're in the middle of nowhere, where people still respect the Sabbath. And
I mean, definitely when they're telling you they don't work
right,
on a Sunday.
right, like there's not an Uber. So I asked the bartender. I'm like, hey, do you guys have any like local cabs or anything out here? I don't want to drive drunk. Um, and he's like, no, but as long as there's not really anything going on, uh, sometimes you can call like uh, the police's non-emergency number and just let them know, and the like sometimes they'll come pick you up. Like, okay, seems a little weird. So I don't trust police very much. Um, and I do it anyway. I call the non-emergency number. I was like, you know what? Let's see. Let's put these tax dollars to test. Um, and I call them, and they're like, okay, yep. You're on the meet them at the corner of X and Y. So I go there, and wait. I'm waiting there for a minute. I was actually on the phone with somebody, so that was interesting because they kind of heard it all happen over the phone, at least the beginning. Um, and I mean, this is coming from GI Joe or GI Kyle, but like GI Joe, like um, Buzz, like the new Buzz Lightyear edition, pops up out of this cruiser and comes charging at me, yelling at me, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Um, being on the other side of like law enforcement to a degree, being in the Marines, I know that they are bad eggs, and I know what they look like, and I know they give off an energy.
Yeah,
So
you're
I'm
like,
like,
if it walks, talks, and acts like a fascist, it's probably a fascist.
so I'm well, no, because it's typically like the young kid who has everything in the world to prove, but no way to prove it. Um, and they kind of just announce it basically. So I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Dude immediately goes and he grabs me, grabs my arms, throws them behind my back, and so I start telling him I'm not resisting. I don't know what you're doing. I'm asking, like, I don't want to drive drunk in your community. I'm not even from here. Like, I don't, I don't. I'm trying to do the respectful thing to the people who live in your community. Your friends, your friend's wife, your friend's girlfriend, whatever. You know, I'm trying to do the responsible thing here. Help me help your community, which should be your job as a public servant. No, I don't want to digress. Um, well, GI Joe number 2 comes out of the cruiser as well, and he's already calling for backup because I'm being non-compliant, and I and I don't know. He starts
Oh, I
grabbing at
fully
me.
believe you were not compliant, but go on.
So he starts grabbing me, and again, I know not to like fight back, like, and I can take a beating, I that's kind of like one of my um the
Superpowers.
beautiful, yeah. um you could say I was trained as as a young one. And then it was like reinforced through like McMap and the Marine Corps and stuff, so yeah, they're grabbing at me. I get like slammed to the ground. I'm being pinned down. Um, there's just more and more police showing up. Nobody's trying to figure out what's going on.
They're like,
They
we
get
got a
they get,
live one.
right. Like they get more and more aggressive. So like some of them are like physically hitting and hurting me. Some of them are just kind of standing there, like
Don't
outside
you
of
do
them.
that, Trace. Go on.
I
How do I say it? Making a wall, as we used to say in high school, and there was like a fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And uh, next thing I know, so I'm face down on the sidewalk. Next thing I know, my ass cheek is cold because somebody pulled down my pants, and there's a needle in my ass. So now I start to get yelling, and saying that I don't know what was just injected in me, whatever it was. I didn't consent to any treatment of any form. I not from here. I just wanted a ride. Why are you attacking me? I didn't consent to whatever shot you just gave me, right? And then I remember another shot. And the next thing I remember from there, I woke up in like a little, like, not like a wheelchair, but like a wheelie chair, like one that, like in jail, they, I guess it'd be called like the Bam Bam chair. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I
Are
get
we
where you're
going to
going.
the egg
I'm going.
festival?
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going.
I'm heading.
Continue.
um, Yeah, so I'm in the Bam Bam chair, and they're wheeling me into the jail to get booked in, and I'm wearing a hospital gown, and I've got the little diodes all over, and everything hurts. um, I was still really fuzzy, drugged out of my mind, and but I do remember the officer asked me. He says, "What's your shoe size?" And I said, I don't know. Depends on what size those boots are. Um,
I don't get that. You're gonna have to explain that one better.
I was telling him I'm gonna take his boots. Um,
Okay. That's what I thought, but I was like, were there boots in this situation? I don't
there
know.
was, and most of them were kicking me and on my back.
They were 1984 in you, if you want to know what the future looks like, it's just
yes.
a fucking boot stomping on the neck of people for eternity.
Um, so uh, they get to asking their little, like, their booking in questions, and they find out that I'm a veteran, and that I do suffer from PTSD and have
Oh
different
no.
different mental disorders. And the guys at the jail, right? They're always very different from like the street police, the street cops. Um, and so like all the guys at the jail, like once the street cops leave, they like chill out. They go from like a 7 to like impress their buddies to like a 2. And so once the street cops leave, uh, like everything cools down, and they start to find these things out about me, and they're like, oh fuck, you know they're like, well, do you just want to be alone? I was like, honestly, yes. If I can just, yeah, if I can just be on my, yeah, yep. They're like, do you know what happens next? I was like, no, I don't even know what happened already. So how can I know what happens next? So, uh,
That's not really a thing you want to hear though in the jail. Do you know what happens next? That's
no, No,
That's
yeah, no,
fucking
the entire
terrifying.
yes, yeah, the entire thing was absolutely terrifying, and they put me in my own. It wasn't like a cell. It was like, but it could have had probably like 10, 15 people. They put me in my own one of those, um, and I'm just sitting there trying to sleep. Well, finally morning comes around, and like a caseworker comes in, and she comes in to talk to me. She asks about the situation. I tell her everything. She's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know what law or whatever, but I was able to leave without a bond, without anything. So they let me leave, and she's like, "You should go get drug tested." By the way, I was like, "Yeah, you're damn right, I should." Um,
What
so
do you
I
mean? Like they don't know what they injected in you? Or...
no, she doesn't work for the police. She works with the court. So she yeah, so she lets me out. I don't have to pay a bond or anything. I don't know if that was like some weird like quasi in like jailhouse arraignment. I don't know, but they let me go. So I get out. I call the guy I was working with, um, which all this could have been alleviated had I just called him the night before instead of the non-emergency number. Um, And he picks me up, and I'm telling him like what all happened. He's like, yeah. So we go to a lab. I pay a lot of money for a very good drug test, and then he brings me to the hospital because I wanted to get my clothes and stuff. Because at the jail, that's right. So the jail, they were like, what did you what did you come in? I was like, a hospital gown. They're like, they didn't bring a bag, and I was like, I don't, I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god, dude,
you you
this
should
gets
know that, right?
worse.
Like you should know that, right? Like I don't know. I didn't. Did I come in with a bag? Great question. I don't know. Um, so they let me out in like these like lost and found jail clothes, which I'm sure were just covered in like whatever the hepatitis flavor of the week was. I mean, um, so I show up to the hospital, the hospital, and they're like, so and it's weird, right? Because I'm like, hey, I was here last night. Um, I have a little wristband. What? Why was I here? I don't know. Can I get my hospital records? Well, you were only here last night, right? Yeah. Well, they won't be ready for you. What? Okay.
This
Is there
whole
anyone I
town
can talk?
sounds awful.
Oh, it's so yeah. So I'm like, is there anybody I can talk to about like what treatment was done on my body last night? Because I'm in the blue. I don't know. And I'd love to know because it's my body. Um, I have certain disabilities and stuff from the Marine Corps, and like if they, let's say they cut me open for surgery and I didn't even know. I mean, or whatever, right? Or they gave me certain drugs. Like I need to know this, you know. So they send me to the emergency room, and they're like, you might be able to ask somebody there. They might be able to find something else. Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
fucking.
so I go to the emergency room, and I'm like, hey, so I came here last night. I don't know. I don't know what I got done. And the lady's like, what? Why? How? I was like, I was brought here. Like, I
I'm
was brought
sorry.
here. She's like, "What do you mean? Like, who brought you here? Like your buddy?" He's shaking his head like, "No." Uh, uh, and I was like, "The police. The police brought me here." She's like,
After they beat your ass.
"Yeah." She's like, "Oh, well, why'd they bring you here?" I was like, "Because they beat me up." And I'm covered in, I mean, like my face, my body, my arms, cuts, bruises, dried blood still, because I haven't gotten to a damn shower yet. Like, just a complete, like, I look like I got hit by a car. Like every room I walked into, like everybody's eyes were like they immediately looked to me and then looked away, you know. So I'm asking her, or she's like, they beat you, like they beat you up. I was like, yeah, and they injected something into me, and I want to know what it was, and I want to know like what what you guys did to me here, because I mean like yeah, I look really bad, but like for them like general like besides superficially, like I feel fine. I'm just groggy and besides that, like I feel fine. Like I don't feel like anything was broken. I don't, like everything feels superficial minus whatever what I was injected in with. She's like, "Oh, the lady coming off the shift said something that there was something weird about that last night. Because like they said that somebody came in from a police cruiser and they looked like they should have come in from an ambulance, but there was no ambulance." I was like, okay, there was no like there wasn't an EMT. Like we we know this, or is that like is this written down anywhere? Like what can you give me? Because I know I'm gonna need something. Um, so she does a little digging. I'm sitting there waiting. Doctor comes out. Uh, so we don't have any records at this point for you. But
Jesus.
here's a packet on over intoxication.
What?
I'm telling you, that's not the problem. That's not why I was here last night. So I take my packet and I go to the hospital records division downstairs, and they're like, "Yeah, nope, it's too soon. You might be able to come back in a week or so, and we might have them ready for you." And I was like, "I'm not from here. I will not be here in a week or so. Can you email them to me when they're available?" No, because of HIPAA.
Uh,
Ma'am, ma'am, they're my medical records. I need to know what was done to my body. Well, yeah, but we can't just send people's info out like that. It's my info, actually. um, well, we have our policy and we can't do that. Okay, all right. Well, can you mail it to me? No. Okay. So how do I know? Like if you tell like how is this a thing at your hospital where I show up and you can't tell me what was done to me? Like if I, like how did like what goes on in your computer system where you just close the case and it's not viewable for X period of time? How does that happen? Because let's say I just never, I never left here, and you're going to continue treatment. How does Doctor X see what Doctor Y has done so far? Is there anything like that that I can see, or No, you don't have access to that. I can't show you. I'm like, so I get frustrated and leave. Um, and I go to work the next day, the Monday. Um, and the owner is like buddies with one of the deputies. Now, mind you, this was the city police that I had this interaction with, and yeah, I mean, like I said, I looked like I got hit by a car, one of those, well, oversized trucks. I'll say. Um, I looked like I was hit by an oversized truck, and
Bringing it full circle.
yep, and I, so I'm telling him this whole story, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, they do that sometimes. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna call my buddy, and I need you to tell him what happened." Well, what? Who's your buddy? He's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's Deputy so and so." He's like, it just happens sometimes."
oh my, what do you, how is that
What?
something? Go
He's
on.
like, "What just happens sometimes?" He's like, "Well, the if the city police respond to certain things, sometimes certain things happen."
Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and get your buddy over here then. So the guy comes over. I tell him the story. He's like, okay, yep, I'm gonna follow this for you. And he's like, so he calls the sheriff. He talks to the sheriff about it. I talked to the sheriff over his phone. He asks for a few more details and stuff.
Then they
Oh.
pull up and they beat your ass again.
No. So the sheriff has been like trying to bust the city police for this for apparently
Oh,
a long time, because
oh.
apparently this just happens sometimes. In their words.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Right. And that's why, I mean, I was shocked. Like telling the story. Like it's. I mean, it's never easy. It's still not easy. But like, the next day, well, I guess 2 days after telling the story, and he says this just happens sometimes. I go cold. Like it is terrible. Um. Well. Well, fast forward. I get the drug results back. Um, they said that based off of the metabolism speed of X drug, they believe that there was 300 milligrams of ketamine injected into my body.
Fucking Christ!
Um, and that's not just like, oh, that's what I think. No, we're talking like chemistry, like in biology. Like you can't bullshit it. So yeah, uh, I I go. There's a couple. There's a couple court hearings. I talked to one of the local lawyers that the sheriff recommended, who's handled these cases before with the city police, and he was happy to take it. Of course, what lawyer wouldn't be? Um, and I mean, essentially, the kind of like the summary of those court cases was, hey, um, you're fine though, right? Because we're just gonna it'll be disorderly conduct with like no fines, no fees, no credit time served. But you were yelling, so and you admitted that you that you were yelling really loudly and causing alarm.
Yeah, yeah,
Say,
you know.
yes, because I was being assaulted. Um,
I'm sorry, bro.
and
It's just so like you
and the
couldn't
lawyer's
make
like,
that up.
well, the police the police reports. There was 7 police officers at least who made a report. I honestly, because of like the drug, like I could not tell, and be 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 getting my ass beat at the time. I can't tell you if there was 7, 8, 9, 5. I don't know. There was a lot of boot. um and uh we go, I go back to the scene. There's no cameras. I'm talking to the business owners. None of them have any cameras because it's the middle of nowhere. Like there's no evidence besides my phone call, which I did end up getting subpoenaed, and you can hear where like I'm calm having a conversation about my dead grandmother with my at the time wife, and then shit just hits the fan, like just out of fucking nowhere. Um, but you can also hear me yelling, screaming that I need help. Somebody please help me. And yeah, I was definitely talking shit to the cops, saying like, if you're gonna assault me, you better get your money's worth. If you're gonna violate my rights, do it harder. Uh,
It just fucking you're like
uh,
spank me harder, Dad. Oh
yeah,
my
like
God.
I
More
mean,
boot. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
literally, like, yeah. I mean, and it was,
No,
yeah.
I
You
get it.
you
I
you
get
can
it.
hear that in the courtroom and everything, and everybody's just stone cold silent. Like, fuck. you know. Um, but all the police reports said that while I was handcuffed, I had reached up to try to grab their radio and was trying to radio things and was trying to reach and grab for their guns.
Oh
So
yeah, well
that
they
is
gotta cover their ass as much as they can.
Right?
and all reports except for one were identical.
Oh yeah, that's weird. All of the reports were identical, huh?
There was no body camera footage. There was
Ah,
no squad car
suspicious.
footage.
Oh boy.
Except for one. There was one squad car camera was on and pointed in the other direction with no audio.
That would have
And
been even better if you said, yeah,
yeah.
one squad car's on, the hood was up.
No, it was just
Because that's a
pointed the other
common
way.
thing, dude. That's a super common shit that they do.
Nope, the car was just pointed at the Dark Knight.
Ah, good. Oh
Yep.
my god, Christ,
Um.
dude. You didn't go into this much detail when we last talked about it.
No, I didn't, because I wanted to save some. But
Gotta save a little bit of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus fucking Christ, though.
but yeah, so
This is much worse.
that disorderly conduct is considered a misdemeanor, and it required um I had to do like a phone check-in probation for a couple months. The lawyer was like, I think it was 6 months at first, or maybe a year, but he's like, if you pay the probation fees in full, they cut it in half. I was like, what?
Oh
He's
my.
like, yeah. He's like, do you have the cash? I was like, because I knew the more cash I bring, the better off I'm gonna be. Because him and I had this conversation before. He's like, do you have cash? I was like, yeah. So we go up to the window, and he's like, my client would like to pay for the probation up front. And the guy's like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I'll tell you what, just pay for half now, uh, and then you'll probably get let off as long as you don't break probation. Okay. Oh, okay. Because these stipulations weren't described to me previously until I have cash in my hand at the window paying for it. So I pay for half, and I had to I literally just call a number and tell them that I haven't been arrested once a month because I don't live in the state. So that was like the only reporting that I had to do. That, and like everything was shoved under, like it just they were trying to shove everything under the rug as fast as and cleanly as possible. Um, the lawyer, he added the evidence of my case to a much larger case against the state, or sorry, the city police. But because of the disorderly conduct charge, basically because of that, I wasn't able to sue them independently. But all the evidence from it, or rather lack thereof, is, I guess, hopefully going to fix their problem that just happens there in Carmel, Indiana.
Oh my god. Um.
Note to self: never go to that place.
Yeah, no.
Fuck.
And
Aren't you
you
glad
want to
we
hear
only
Cross
something
that
drove
even?
place off the
through?
map.
Yeah.
And what's
Right?
wild is so fast forward. I think from this point about a year and a half. I'm working at a completely different company up in Michigan, and one of the regional engineers is from Carmel, Indiana, and he came up for some training, and I was like, I've been to Carmel. He's like, yeah. What'd you think? I was like, well, you want the short version or what I really think? He's like, yeah, I know, man. The roundabouts suck, and I was like, no, 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 no.
You don't
I can deal with the
understand.
roundabouts.
I was like, listen, we'll grab a beer after work. I'll tell you all about it. And so I'm telling him about it. Like I start to tell him about it, and he's like, oh, he's like, that was one of those cases. I was like, yep, that he, yep, that was I was one of those. So it's literally like the people who live there know that just happens sometimes. And it's wild because and honestly I want to know how different legally speaking that situation would have been had I not been had I not admitted to disorderly conduct, um, causing for alarm in public. Um, you know what I mean? It's yeah,
That's
but
crazy.
yeah. So that is my story of how a white male was a was a victim of police brutality in I think that was 2019.
Dang.
Yeah. Now, what's crazier is later on, and I can tell this story too if you want. But later on, a few years later, I had another very weird, interesting legal case, and this one's more recent. Um, but they do what's called a PSI, probation screening interview here in Michigan, and they pull up your previous history, literally all the way back to like when you were a kid. Um, which yeah, and so there's in the state of Michigan, disorderly conduct is well, they looked at the case and they said, well, according to the police reports, one would say that you committed um that you did RNO, um resisting an officer, resisting an arrest. Um so we're going to treat it like that, which in Michigan is a felony. So basically, going into like sentencing for this completely unrelated separate case years later, I was they treated me as if I've committed a felony, which to that point I had not, or at least not been charged with one. But yep. So that made my next interesting bout with the police very interesting, or a little bit spicier. We'll call it that. But yeah, I mean, if yeah, do you have any questions about that incident?
Um, no, just makes me super glad I don't live up there.
Yeah, I apparently a part of like why that happens there is because it's close to Indianapolis, which I don't know. Apparently, like guys don't who can't be cops in Indianapolis go to little towns. Who can't be big town cops. Um, my guess would be for failing some sort of psych evaluation. Go to small towns and become cops, and then get revenge on the general society for being bullied as a kid or something.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Navi, this is a more detailed version than you got last time. So if you have any questions,
Come on.
no,
Please file them accordingly.
yeah, no, I have to cut this meeting short, but I didn't know that one story was a 40-minute story. So if more of your stories are like that, you might break my record for longest, but I might have to splice these together.
yeah, that's fair. That's fine.
Here, let me hit stop really quick before I say what happened. So we will come back to this.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
promise you.
I mean,
I
we can
think
we
you're
can
gonna
segue
be.
into my next encounter. I mean, the next one's I mean, as hard as it is to tell that story in that detail, the next one honestly is in some ways harder,
I
which is, I'm fine with. But
Do you want to leave yourself a note of where we left off so I don't gotta like play it back?
no, I mean, I think that we're at a good transitioning point. I mean, we're right in between stories.
Yeah. Okay. So we will come back to that. You know what? I don't wanna do
Are
you
you
dirty
okay?
like that.
Me, yeah.
No, him.
I don't
He's
want to.
acting screwball.
I know. I'll tell you in a second. I don't want to do you dirty like that. Should I just do yours as like a multi-part one, but will still count it as the longest?
I'd say so.
Okay. Did you ever look into that pet photo for me, Kyle?
Oh shoot. I mean, no, but I have some. I can always send you some.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit stop here really quick.
Oh, I thought you already stopped.
Yeah, does everyone want to say bye for the first part?
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Also, bye.